To settle a bet, I went undercover as an intern at my husband Vincent's company. On my very first morning, chaos hit. A woman barged into the lobby, waving a marriage certificate like a trophy. "I'm the real Mrs. Aronsohn," she declared, glaring at me. "Straighten your back and keep your eyes down until Vincent arrives." She even complained about the cafeteria food, bragging that she'd replace it with a Michelin chef. A nervous coworker tugged at my sleeve and whispered, "That's Isabelle Ferrari, Vincent's muse. He proposed to her 99 times before she finally accepted. Don't provoke her unless you want to disappear from the company records." I nearly laughed. Quietly, I called my brother. "Bring Vincent here with the divorce papers," I said. "In 5 minutes. I want him kneeling in front of me." It was my first day as an intern. I was standing by the reception desk, ready to report to HR, when a woman in a designer suit swept through the doors. She slammed a red folder on the marble counter. "New intern," she snapped. "No wonder you have no manners. What's that, trying to hide behind those files? Drop them and stand properly, hands at your sides." Following the intern manual word for word, I dipped my head politely. "Good morning, ma'am. How may I assist you?" My calm tone only enraged her further. "What kind of circus is this? Is HR hiring the blind now?" She jabbed at my intern badge. "Compare that to this marriage certificate. Then tell me why you think you have the right to talk to me at all. Address me as Mrs. Aronsohn." The girl interning beside me blanched. She pulled on my arm, bowing her head. "I'm so sorry, Mrs. Aronsohn. She's new. She doesn't know the company rules. Please don't take it to heart." Isabelle scoffed and rolled her eyes before storming straight into Vincent's private office. The other intern clutched my arm, trembling. "That's Isabelle Ferrari. She's Vincent's ex, his favorite woman. Don't get on her bad side. One word from her, and we're done for." My mind reeled. There was only one authentic copy of Vincent Aronsohn's marriage certificate, and it was supposed to be locked safely in our home. Why would he allow another woman to flaunt a fake version of it in his company? I swallowed the question. For now, my goal was simple: finish this internship and observe how Vincent managed his empire. It was also a chance to see how much power this so-called Mrs. Aronsohn truly held. When lunch break arrived, Isabelle called the administrative office. I answered the phone. Her sharp voice crackled through the line. "I want a hand-ground Jamaican Blue Mountain coffee. Water at 185 degrees. Bring it here now." I started right away, but grinding premium beans by hand took time. 5 minutes later, I brought it to her. That 5 minutes cost me dearly. The moment I stepped into her office, she slapped the cup out of my hand. "Is everyone in your department brain dead? Look at the clock. You've already ruined the flavor." Hot coffee splashed across my skin, the burn flaring painfully. "If you ruin my day because of your incompetence, can you afford the consequences?" she snapped. Everyone in the department froze, staring. She was elegant, yes, but her tone was sharp enough to cut glass. I kept my composure. "Ms. Ferrari, I apologize." Grinding the beans took longer than expected. She grabbed the remaining coffee and threw it in my face. "You call that an excuse? With those clumsy hands, I can't imagine how you even got this job. What did you do, flirt your way in?" My fists tightened, nails biting into my palms. Before I could speak, the department head ran over and shielded me. "I'm terribly sorry, Miss Ferrari. She's new. Please forgive her. There's no need to upset yourself over such a small mistake." Then, in a low whisper, she hissed to me, "Don't say a word. Think about who she is. Our bonuses, our jobs, don't ruin them. Stay quiet." Seeing her grovel seemed to satisfy Isabelle. She took out a wet wipe, cleaning her fingers with an air of mock grace. "At least your supervisor knows her place." Her lips curled. "Come along. We're going to inspect the cafeteria." "Inspect the cafeteria?" I couldn't help speaking up. "Ms. Ferrari, the cafeteria is restricted to employees only. Outsiders aren't allowed inside without permission." Before I could finish speaking, my supervisor yanked my arm sharply. "Are you out of your mind?" she hissed under her breath. "That woman is his favorite. You might survive crossing Mr. Aronsohn himself, but if you offend her, you're finished before you even realize it." "She gets whatever she wants," the supervisor continued, panic in her eyes. "Everyone here says she's the real power behind this company. Our jobs depend on her mood. You're still an intern. Don't throw your future away." The real mistress of the Aronsohn Corporation? As Vincent's legal wife, that was quite the surprise. Isabelle noticed my hesitation and smirked, mistaking my silence for fear. "What's wrong?" You hear Vincent's name and freeze, she taunted. Let me give you some advice, sweetheart. A man like Vincent Aronsohn is completely out of your reach. You're a nobody, a disposable intern. One word from him, and you'll never work in this industry again. Without waiting for reply, Isabelle strutted straight into the cafeteria. The room fell silent as she wrinkled her nose at the food line. My God, what is this slop you people eat? She exclaimed, poking at a tray of braised pork with disgust before tossing it aside. Then she reached into her Hermes bag and pulled out a sleek thermal lunchbox, placing it on the counter with a loud thud. You poor souls probably haven't had a decent meal in your lives, she announced proudly. Today, I'll be generous. You get to taste my chef's truffle and lobster bisque. Consider it charity. She opened the lid and tilted the container toward the communal food vat. Miss Ferrari, please stop. The cafeteria manager rushed over, blocking her path. Ma'am, we have strict food safety rules. No outside food can be added to the staff meals. It's about hygiene and responsibility. Please don't make this harder for us. Rules. Isabelle laughed, her voice dripping with mockery. You think my food is unsafe compared to this grease trap you call lunch? Do you even know how much this bisque costs? More than your annual salary. Her tone sharpened. Now step aside. But the manager stood firm. Miss Ferrari, this isn't about money. It's about company policy and safety standards. Please cooperate with us. The defiance in his voice made her expression darken instantly. She snatched her phone, flipped on the camera, and started a video call. Vincent, you have to see this, she cried dramatically. Your employees are attacking me. I was only trying to be kind, and they're yelling at me. From the other end came Vincent's calm, familiar voice. Isabelle, don't get upset. Let me speak to the manager. Triumphant, Isabelle shoved the screen into the manager's face. Vincent's tone shifted, icy and authoritative. Every person involved will apologize to Ms. Ferrari immediately, he ordered. If you don't, consider your pay and bonuses gone. I won't repeat myself. The manager's mouth twitched, words caught in his throat. My supervisor and several coworkers exchanged pale, helpless glances. Vincent's voice grew even colder. What? Are you all deaf? The camera tilted slightly, and I realized Isabelle was showing us his surroundings. Vincent was seated at the head of a private dining table, surrounded by older businessmen. It was clearly an important meeting, yet the moment he saw Isabelle's teary expression, his stern demeanor melted. Vincent, she whimpered, ignoring the guests completely. They bullied me. I was just trying to do something nice, and they humiliated me. You have to defend me. Her crocodile tears sparkled on screen. Vincent sighed softly, his face full of indulgence. There. Don't cry, darling. You'll ruin your makeup. It's nothing worth getting upset over, I promise. No one's allowed to make you unhappy. Then his gaze snapped back to us, all traces of gentleness gone.
Well?
I told you to apologize.
Now.
Do I need to count to 3? Before he could finish, I stepped forward, my burned hand still raw and red. I leaned into the camera, so my face filled the screen. Vincent Aronsohn, I said evenly, my tone flat and dangerous. Are you absolutely sure you want me to apologize? His eyes widened. Penny. For a brief moment, surprise flickered across his face before he sighed and pinched the bridge of his nose, irritation clouding his features. He didn't even glance at the burn on my skin. Penny, what are you doing in the cafeteria? He asked wearily. Aren't you assigned to administration? I met his gaze coldly. What do you think I'm doing? He looked past me to the trembling employees and spoke with that same authoritative calm that once made me fall for him. Enough. Stop causing a scene. Do as Isabelle says and apologize. We'll talk about this later, when I get home. His command hung heavy in the air, freezing everyone around us. Isabelle, triumphant, puffed herself up and fanned the flames. Oh, so she's the new intern, is she? She was pushing the manager, trying to start trouble, she crowed. Vincent's voice softened when he addressed Isabelle, all coaxing and calm. Isabelle is kind-hearted. She meant well. She wouldn't hurt anyone. Then he turned back to me, his tone firm and final. Behave, Penny. Apologize. Don't make this any harder. A slow, cold smile slid across my lips. Vincent, do you recall the wager we made? The promise you swore to me. I asked. Well, the time has come to collect. Before he could answer, I cut the call. I took out my phone and rang my brother without hesitation.
Bill.
There's someone here. waving forged paperwork and disrupting the Aronsohn company. Get Vincent down here now. And bring the divorce contract we prepared. In 5 minutes, I want him begging me on his knees to sign. Silence settled like a curtain. The cafeteria watched as if a lunatic had walked in. My supervisor snapped out of the stupor first, grabbing my arm in terror. Penny, what are you doing? You can't say that aloud. Not here. Apologize quick, before he reacts. Maybe you can still fix this. Isabelle laughed outright, as if I'd told the world's most delightful joke. She clicked her heels and sauntered over, looking down at me. Divorce papers? You, she sneered. Little intern, who do you think you are, ordering Vincent around? Even if you grovel on your knees, you won't last here. I ignored the insults, keeping my eyes on the timer on my phone. 5 minutes. The seconds crawled, tightening the room's atmosphere with each tick. Isabelle grew impatient, ready to call Vincent again, when the cafeteria doors slammed open. Vincent appeared, breathless, sweat beading his brow, flanked by alarmed security. Isabelle ran to him in obvious delight. Vincent, you're here? This intern hung up on you and said she would make you kneel. Vincent did not turn to comfort her. His gaze cut straight to me. Penny, what did you mean on the phone? He asked. I did not answer. Instead, I watched my brother's chief of staff push through the crowd, carrying a large manila envelope. He stopped before me, bowed politely, and said, Miss Hayes, as requested. I opened the envelope and let the papers flutter down at Vincent's feet. The headline on the top page was stark and bold, Divorce Agreement. Sign it, Vincent, I said, voice steady. Sign now, and I forfeit the wager. From this moment, you and Isabelle can do as you please without me. Vincent froze, the color draining from his face. He stared at the scattered pages, then at me. Penny, listen. It isn't what you think with Isabelle. Isn't what I think. I cut him off. Then explain this. She storms into your company with a phony marriage certificate and terrorizes your staff, and you let it happen. Or is it that you let your employees and your wife be humiliated to protect her? Isabelle's face crumpled into outrage and disbelief. That's impossible, she shrieked. Vincent, she's a liar. She forged everything. I turned to the chief of staff. Where's my brother? He is in a video conference with Chairman Aronsohn. The aide replied immediately. They are negotiating the Hayes family's divestment from the Aronsohn Corporation, effective next quarter. The word divestment landed like a blow. Vincent's expression snapped to panic, fury flashing in his eyes. Penny, please don't do this. The company is everything to me. And what does your company matter to me? I answered, each syllable crisp and deliberate. You have 2 options. 1, sign these papers now, and we separate cleanly. 2, I have my brother withdraw all our funding instantly, and then you will learn the true meaning of being blacklisted. Vincent's mouth moved. No words emerged. His guards took a step forward, but the arrival of my brother's aide had halted them cold. The cafeteria staff stood frozen, mouths open. They could not believe that a plain-looking intern had cornered their high-powered CEO and had him looking defeated. Isabelle went pale, clutching at Vincent's sleeve, shaking him. Vincent, tell her you love me, say we are getting married, she begged. But Vincent seemed distant. He stooped slowly to pick up the divorce papers from the floor, his hand trembling. Penny, I know I messed up, he said, voice raw, pleading. Please, one more chance. The wager, it is not over yet. Don't do this to me. A chance? I echoed, incredulous. Who will give a chance to the staff you let humiliate? Who will make amends for my burned hand? I lifted my injured palm, the skin still angry and red. At that, Vincent's pupils narrowed, as if he had only just noticed the injury, pain sweeping across his face. He reached for my hand, but I pulled back. It is my fault. I did not protect you, he hurried on, spilling words. Isabelle saved me once, long ago. I owe her. That is why I have been soft. But there is nothing between us. I swear I never knew about that certificate. No idea? I laughed, hollow and sharp. So a forged certificate gets her past security into your private office, gives her authority over my department and the cafeteria, and all of that was coincidence? If you had not let it happen, none of this would have occurred. His color drained. He had no answer. Isabelle, listening, shifted from fury to panic, then to spite. She jabbed a finger at me, screaming, Vincent, do not believe her. She is lying. She faked a bankruptcy to worm into your company. I love you truly. Vincent turned to her and with 2 cold words cut her off. Shut up. He pivoted back to me, eyes full of regret. Penny, I handled this poorly, I admit that. I will accept any punishment, but divorce, please, not divorce. No, I said, flat and final. Sign. I watched him, refusing to budge. At last he sighed and nodded, defeated. He picked up the pen, his hand shaking so badly the ink trembled. Just as the tip touched the paper, my phone buzzed. It was my brother, and I put the call on speaker. Penny, Chairman Aronsohn has been informed. He will handle Isabelle Ferrari personally, and he will ensure you a proper resolution, my brother said. He paused, then added, also, that deal Vincent just signed at his dinner. I checked their partner. There are problems. His words froze Vincent mid-movement. What? He demanded. Go on, Bill, I said. The firm is Apex Capital. It looks legitimate, but the majority shareholder is a longtime rival of ours, and the contract has trap clauses. Once Vincent's money goes in, they can strip the project in 3 months, leaving Aronsohn with debts. A low murmur rippled through the room. Vincent's face went white. He immediately grabbed his phone. Terminate all dealings with Apex Capital. Now, seal the files, scrap everything, he barked to his assistant. After he hung up, he looked at me, storm and gratitude mingling in his expression. Penny, thank you. If my brother had not called, that careless moment, caused by Isabelle's interruption, could have wrecked Vincent's company. Isabelle finally saw the scope of the damage and realized the harm she had nearly caused, stammering, Vincent, I did not know, I would never. Vincent would not meet her eyes. He turned to my brother's aide and spoke, voice steady and formal. Please inform Mr. Hayes that effective immediately, I will transfer 30% of my shares in Aronsohn to Penny as compensation. In addition, I will take an indefinite leave until Penny is willing to forgive me. A collective gasp swept the cafeteria. 30% was enormous. It meant relinquishing power, handing the company's fate into someone else's hands. Isabelle crumpled to the floor, defeated. Vincent walked slowly toward me, his expression pleading, vulnerable, unable to hide how desperate he was. Penny, Vincent whispered. Is this enough? I didn't answer. I simply folded the divorce papers, turned around and walked away. Some wounds cannot be healed with money or power. When I left the Aronsohn Corporation, I went straight home, to the apartment Vincent and I once shared. The place that had felt warm and alive now seemed hollow and cold, like a museum of what used to be. My brother arrived soon after with his legal team to finalize the transfer of Vincent's shares. Are you absolutely sure about this? Bill asked, lowering himself onto the sofa. He's practically given you everything. 30% of the company and stepping down, that's his whole life. I nodded. You know the deal we made. He wasn't supposed to make a single mistake that disappointed me for a full year. He failed. And this is the outcome. Bill sighed, rubbing his temples. I get that you're angry. What about Isabelle Ferrari? I stared at the coffee table, my voice calm. She's so proud of calling herself Mrs. Aronsohn, isn't she? Then let her keep the title. The next morning, the city's social circles erupted in gossip. Everyone was talking about Vincent Aronsohn, the CEO who had been placed on indefinite leave by his own board after a disastrous judgment call that nearly ruined the company. And at the center of the scandal was a woman named Isabelle Ferrari. Rumors spread like wildfire. Some claimed she was a corporate spy sent to seduce Vincent. Others said she was an ambitious socialite who meddled where she shouldn't. Someone even discovered her so-called marriage certificate was a cheap forgery. Her claim as Mrs. Aronsohn became the punchline of every joke in town. By nightfall, Isabelle's reputation was destroyed. High society shunned her, boutiques refused to serve her, and she couldn't step outside without whispers following her. She tried calling Vincent, only to find herself blocked on every platform. The press ignored her pleas. She had lost everything. All I did was ask my brother's aide to quietly share what really happened in the cafeteria with a few talkative board members' wives. The story spread on its own. I didn't break any laws. I simply let the truth do what it does best, expose. Sometimes, the harshest punishment is watching your own actions come back to destroy you. Vincent didn't reach out to me. A week later, Bill mentioned he'd left for one of the company's smallest branches, a struggling office in a remote town, to start over as a junior project assistant. Another week passed before my brother called again. Penny, how are you holding up? I'm fine, I replied quietly. There's news about Vincent, he said, his voice heavy. He's really there. I sent someone to check. He's living in a dorm with the other employees, spending his days on construction sites. He's tanned and exhausted, but he hasn't left. I said nothing. The branch manager tried to give him an office. Bill continued, but he refused. He said he's there to make up for what he's done. Silence filled the line. And one more thing, Bill added softly. He writes you a letter every day. He sends them to my office. There are 7 now. Do you want them? No, I said. Please throw them away. Bill hesitated, then nodded. All right. So what now? I turned toward the window. The city stretched before me, vast and indifferent. My reflection looked tired, but calm. I think I need a fresh start. Something peaceful. What do you have in mind? Maybe a pottery class. Or painting. Something quiet. Bill took care of it immediately. The very next day, I found myself in a private art studio. The owner introduced himself as Leo Sterling, an architect in his early 30s. He had a composed air and an easy smile that carried warmth without intrusion. Miss Hayes, welcome, he said. I chose a seat by the window, feeling oddly empty. When you don't know what to paint, Leo said, placing a glass of lemon water beside me. Look outside. Or look inward. Paint what's in your heart. What's in my heart? I echoed. He gestured toward the blank canvas. Whatever it is, put it here. Art cleanses the soul. His voice was soft, almost meditative. Something in it eased the tightness in my chest. I picked up the brush. The strokes came fast, chaotic, storm clouds, waves, broken light. Leo didn't interrupt. He simply stayed close, steady and quiet. When I finally stopped, breathing hard, he handed me a clean cloth. It's good, he said. I looked at the wild mess of colors and gave a wry smile. You call this good? Yes, he said seriously. It's powerful. Painting your pain like this means you have strength, even when you think you've lost it. In that moment, tears stung my eyes before I could stop them. Ever since this nightmare began, everyone around me had cared only about my status, my money, my next move. But Leo was different. He saw my pain and still spoke to the strength inside me. From then on, the studio became my refuge. I went there every day. Leo and I slipped into an easy friendship. He was sharp and funny, our conversations flowing like warm tea. We spoke about art, architecture, travel, and food. He never asked about my past, and he never once said the name Vincent Aronsohn. With him, I wasn't Mrs. Aronsohn. I wasn't an heiress. I was simply Penny. The freedom of that felt almost intoxicating. One afternoon, while I painted a field of sunflowers, Leo stopped behind me and said quietly, Your work, it's starting to show the light. I paused, glancing at the bright yellows blooming across the canvas. He was right. Without realizing it, my style had changed. He smiled at me, eyes warm. There's a charity auction this Saturday night. Will you come with me? My heart stumbled over itself. Yes. That weekend, I wore a champagne-colored gown. The moment we stepped into the ballroom, heads turned. Isn't that Leo Sterling, the famous architect? Someone whispered. And who's the woman with him? She's stunning. I don't know her, another murmured. But with that poise, she must come from old money. I barely heard them. We took our seats. It wasn't until the final auction item appeared that my attention sharpened. A sapphire necklace called Heart of the Deep, rumored to have been a prince's gift to his beloved a century ago. The bidding opened at 5 million. The numbers climbed past 10 million. Then, without hesitation, Leo raised his paddle. 15 million, he said. The room fell silent. The hammer came down. The necklace was his. Amid applause and murmurs of envy, he took the velvet box and walked straight to me. Penny, he said softly, this is for you. I blinked, stunned. Leo, it's too much. This necklace is priceless. No, he said, shaking his head, eyes steady on mine. Nothing is more precious than you. I've been falling for you since the day you walked into my studio. I don't know your story, but I know you deserve the best the world has to give. I hope this, Heart of the Deep, helps heal what's broken and lets you believe in love again. I accepted the necklace. And just like that, Leo and I began something new. Our love was simple, warm, and unpretentious. We went to farmers' markets, cooked elaborate meals at home. He remembered I hated cilantro and preferred my water lukewarm. Every day with him felt like being wrapped in golden sunlight. When Bill came to visit, he saw my smile and exhaled in relief. It looks like you've really moved on, he said. About Vincent, I hesitated, then said, Bill, can you set up a meeting with my lawyer? I think it's time to finalize the divorce. Some chapters have to end for new ones to begin. I never expected to see Vincent again. Not like this. One evening, Leo walked me home after a date. We were saying goodbye downstairs when he brushed a stray lock of hair from my face. Rest well. Good night, he murmured, pressing a soft kiss to my forehead. I smiled, waved as he left, and turned to go inside. That's when I saw him. Vincent. He was standing in the shadows a short distance away. His frame was thinner now, his skin darkened by sun, his jaw shadowed with stubble. His eyes were hollow, exhaustion etched into every line of his face. Leo saw him too and instinctively stepped in front of me, shielding me. Sir, can I help you? Vincent's gaze cut past him and found me. Penny, he rasped. I'm back. I stepped out from behind Leo, my expression calm and unreadable. Mr. Aronsohn. It's been a while. He flinched at the name like it was a slap. Please don't call me that, he said hoarsely. He took a step forward, but Leo blocked his path again. Vincent, I said evenly. There's nothing left between us. My lawyer will be in touch about the divorce papers. No. His voice cracked. I won't sign them. I don't agree to a divorce. He lurched around Leo and rushed toward me, red-rimmed eyes pleading. Penny, I was wrong. I know I was wrong. He fumbled open his briefcase, pulling out a thick binder and shoving it into my hands. Look. This is the project report from the branch. I turned it around. I did it. Please, he whispered, trembling. Just give me one more chance. Please. I'll give you everything, Penny, the Aronsohn Corporation, my wealth, even my life. Just please don't walk away. Then, with a strangled sob, Vincent dropped to his knees before me. The man who once ruled boardrooms and crushed rivals now knelt like a broken soul. And standing there, watching him crumble, I felt only a deep, hollow stillness inside me. You're kneeling too late, Vincent, I said quietly. Back then, when you humiliated me in front of everyone, I wanted this. I wanted you to kneel, to feel my pain, to give me the apology I deserved. My voice softened, but my gaze didn't waver. But now you're kneeling for a woman who no longer believes in you. I placed the project report back into his trembling hands. You've always been brilliant in business, Vincent. But as a husband, you failed completely. The burn on my hand healed long ago, but what you broke between us can't be repaired. I lifted my palm, showing him the smooth skin where a scar once lingered. Then I turned and reached for Leo's hand. Let me introduce you, I said, meeting Vincent's shocked gaze. This is Leo Sterling, my fiancé. We're getting married. The words seemed to drain the last light from his eyes. His body sagged, and he sank to the ground, utterly defeated. I didn't look back. Later, I heard he'd signed the divorce papers, transferring most of his assets to me as compensation. Then he left the country and never came back. Leo and I had a small, sunlit wedding surrounded by roses and music. When he slid the ring onto my finger, he whispered against my lips, Penny Sterling, my wife. To forever. Tears pricked my eyes as I smiled up at him. Yes. For the first time, I felt peace. The man who once shattered me had taught me how to rise again. And the man standing beside me now would walk with me into a life full of light. 3 years later, Leo and I welcomed our son, a bright, healthy baby boy. Leo named him Helios, after the sun god. He said he hoped our son would grow up in the warmth of love and truth. When Helios turned 1, he was already running on wobbly legs. His laughter filled the house, his little dimples mirroring his father's smile. One afternoon, Leo stood by the French windows, holding Helios as sunlight streamed in. He pointed at the roses below, teaching him their color. Red, Helios, just like the lipstick mommy wears. Helios giggled, grabbing at his father's chin with his tiny hands. My phone buzzed on the table, a thank you email from an international children's charity. I knew who it was from. Vincent had continued donating every year, always in my name. Without hesitation, I deleted the message. Leo turned, his eyes soft. He reached out a hand. Come here, love. Helios wants his mommy. I took our little boy into my arms. He squealed with delight, pressing a wet kiss on my cheek. Leo wrapped his arms around both of us, resting his chin gently on my hair. Look, Penny, he whispered, smiling. Our little sun is shining so bright now. I leaned into him, feeling the warmth of his chest, the steady beat of his heart. He was right. After all the storms, I had finally caught the sun in my hands.